Good morning, my daughters. Peace upon you all. By the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Today is Thursday, 8th of October 2020. First of all, my daughters, I want you to bring your books and open them on page 19. Write the date and the day up, please. And bring your notebooks because you are going to write the answers of these questions. We are going to answer question 3. As we have taken yesterday, we talked about this text. It was about Agatha Christie and her detective stories. We said that her most famous characters in her detective stories or in her novels, they were Hercule Poirot, Miss Marple, and also Sherlock Holmes. Okay? Now, we're going to answer the first question. Of course, these questions, when you answer them, you are going to revise the whole text. Okay? The first question says, how do we know that Agatha Christie was and is a popular author? Okay? We said that yesterday that if you remember the first paragraph that she here the 1 2 3 4 5 the fifth line, they say that she sold more than 4 billion copies of her books. Her books still sell well today. This one, we are going to answer the question like this. Number 1, we know that Agatha Christie was, and is still, and is a popular author because she sold over 4 billion copies of her books and they are still selling well today. Okay, this is the question number 1. I'm going to repeat the answer. We know that Agatha Christie was and still, don't forget the commas, okay? And still a popular author because she sold over 4 billion copies of her books and they are still selling today well. Selling well today, okay? Let's move to question number 2. Number 2. When did Agatha Christie get ideas for her books? When? If you remember yesterday, we said that Christie found inspiration for his stories at unusual moments. Sometimes ideas suddenly came to her in a shop or walking along the street. Okay? Now, look here. Christie often got ideas for her books when she was in the middle of everyday activities. She also got inspiration, okay, from the exotic places she visited around the world. Exotic means the weird places, the strange places, okay? Again, Christie often got ideas for her books when she was in the middle of everyday activities. She also got inspiration from the exotic places she visited around the world. Okay, Mama? You are going to write them in your notebooks. Write the question, then the answer. The question, then the answer, okay? We're going to move to question number 3. I will take 1 second, please, until I erase the board and return for you, okay? Now, my daughters, let's move to the third question. How did Hercule Poirot solve his cases? How is that? If you remember yesterday, we discussed this one on the third paragraph. In the third paragraph, we said Hercule Poirot solved his cases by a very careful investigation of the crime scene and victim's life, as well as carefully collecting evidence. Again, Hercule Poirot solved his cases by a very careful investigation of the crime scene and victim's life, as well as carefully collecting evidence. Okay, Mama? Let's move to number 4, which is about Miss Marple. How did Miss Marple solve her cases? Miss Marple solved her cases by questioning all of the suspects one by one. Again, Miss Marple solved her cases by questioning all of the suspects one by one. Now I'm going to move to question number 5. As I said, you're going to write the question and the answer, please, in a neat handwriting. Okay, Mama? 1 minute. Now, Mama, let's continue. Look at question number 5. What was special about 2 of the novels that Agatha Christie wrote in the 1940s. Look here. The two novels Christie wrote in the 1940s were special. Why? Because she put them in a box for 30 years. They were the final cases of Poirot and Marble, and they were made public just before Christie died. Again, the question again. What was special about two of the novels that Agatha Christie wrote in the 1940s? The two novels Christie wrote in the 1940s were special because she put them in a box for 30 years. They were the final cases of Poirot and Marble, and they were made public just before Christie died. Okay? Just small letter like this. Okay? Now, let's move to question number 6. Why was the story from the New York Times about Poirot unusual? Look here, look at the answer. The story from the New York Times was unusual, if you remember. Why? Because they wrote about the death of Hercule Poirot as if he was a real person. Okay? Again, why was the story from the New York Times about Poirot unusual? The story from the New York Times was unusual because they wrote about the death of Hercule Poirot as if he was a real person. Okay, now give me time to write number 7 and 8. Please again write them on your notebook. First the question, then the answer, and in a neat handwriting. Okay, stay with me please. Now, Mama, we are going to move to the 7th question. Why did Agatha Christie once appear in the newspaper? Why? She appeared in the newspaper, if you remember, because she disappeared. She disappeared from her home. Then they found her, if you remember, in a hotel. Okay? Agatha Christie once appeared in a newspaper. Why? Because she suddenly disappeared from her home in 1926. Again, why did Agatha Christie once appear in the newspaper? Agatha Christie once appeared in a newspaper. Why? Because she suddenly disappeared from her home in 1926. Okay, Mama? Let's move to number 8, the last question. Was the hotel in the north of England a crime scene? Why and why not? No, it wasn't. Of course not. The hotel in the north of England wasn't a crime scene. Agatha went there on holiday. Okay, again for the last question. Was the hotel in the north of England a crime scene? Why and why not? The hotel in the north of England wasn't a crime scene. No, of course not. Agatha went there on holiday. For now, we have finished this exercise. Okay, we answered the question. Please, I want to see your notebooks, inshallah, when we go to school. Okay, and I want you to read them again on your notebooks, the question with the answer. Thank you very much for being with me. The next video, inshallah, it will be about your reading text on the workbook. Okay, thank you very much. See you later. Goodbye.